It was a cold evening on the outskirts of a small American town when Martha, a frail 78-year-old widow, stood outside the local diner, clutching her worn-out purse. Inside it just $10, her last bit of money until her next pension check. She had planned to buy a can of soup and a loaf of bread, maybe stretch it for 2 days. As she stepped toward the store, the roar of motorcycles filled the street. A group of leather-clad bikers thundered past, their jackets marked with the name Hell's Angels. The townsfolk usually crossed the street when they came, but one biker had pulled over, his engine sputtering. He cursed softly, kicking the bike. Martha hesitated. Everyone else kept their distance. But she saw something different. The man's hand was bleeding, his face pale. "Are you all right, son?" she asked gently. The biker looked up, startled. "Yeah, I'm fine, lady. Just need some gas. And a little luck." Without thinking twice, Martha opened her purse and took out a crumpled $10 bill. "It's not much," she said, pressing it into his hand, "but maybe it'll get you where you need to go." He froze. "You're giving this to me?" She smiled faintly. "You remind me of my grandson. He used to ride too. Be safe out there." The man stared at her, speechless, before finally whispering, "Thank you, ma'am." That night, Martha went home to her small trailer, her pantry nearly empty. But she felt strangely at peace. It had been a long time since she'd helped anyone. The next morning, she was awakened by the deep, thunderous sound of motorcycles again, dozens of them. Startled, she opened her door to find over 50 riders parked along the dirt road in front of her home. The same man from yesterday stepped forward, holding a bouquet of flowers in one hand and an envelope in the other. "Martha, right?" he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You gave me your last $10 yesterday. That was the kindest thing anyone's done for me in years. I told my brothers about you, and we couldn't stop thinking about it." One by one, the bikers began unloading boxes, groceries, warm clothes, medicine, even a brand new heater. Martha covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What is all this?" she whispered. The man smiled. "A thank you, and a little more. We took up a collection. There's $10,000 in that envelope. Consider it a return on your investment in kindness." Martha's knees nearly gave way. She tried to speak but couldn't. The biker gently took her hand. "You reminded us," he said softly, "that not all angels have wings. Some have wrinkles and a heart bigger than the road." The riders revved their engines one by one before driving off, waving as they went. The last thing she saw was a leather jacket with the words "Ride for Martha" stitched across the back. That night, as she sat by her new heater, sipping hot soup from her stocked pantry, Martha looked out at the road, the same road she'd watched her husband and son ride away on years ago. Her heart felt full. Days passed, and Martha's little trailer became the talk of the town. Neighbors who had once looked past her now stopped by with smiles, curious about the woman who'd touched the hearts of a biker gang. But for Martha, it wasn't the attention that mattered. It was the feeling that she had finally been seen, truly seen for the first time in years. She spent her mornings sitting on the porch, a mug of coffee in her hands, watching the road where the riders had appeared. Every few days, one of them would stop by, a tall man named Rick bringing her groceries, a young woman named Lacey fixing her fence, or a quiet biker named Sam who just sat and talked with her for hours. They told her stories of the road, of lost friends and broken families, of how life had made them rough but not heartless. Martha would listen with that same soft smile, the one that had disarmed even the toughest of them. She'd always end by saying, "The world can be cruel, boys, but kindness costs less than a cup of coffee and lasts longer than a tank of gas." One crisp Sunday morning, a familiar roar filled the air again, this time louder than before. Martha stepped outside, her old shawl wrapped tight around her shoulders. A sea of motorcycles stretched down the dirt road. The entire Hell's Angels chapter had come. The same man she had helped, now wearing a leather vest embroidered with her name, stepped forward. "Martha," he said, smiling through tears, "we've been thinking. You gave us something no one ever did, hope. And we want to give that back. Behind him, a group of riders rolled forward a covered trailer. When they pulled the tarp away, Martha gasped. Inside was a small, fully furnished cabin built on wheels. Her new home. Warm, safe, and mobile, just like the lives of the men she'd touched. She couldn't speak. The only thing she managed was a trembling whisper. "I don't deserve this." The biker shook his head. "Yes, you do. You taught us that no one's too old, too poor, or too broken to make a difference. You gave when you had nothing. That's what real strength looks like." Tears streamed down her face as they helped her into the cabin. On the wall above the bed hung a photo of her smiling, surrounded by all 50 riders. The words, "Angels Among Us," engraved beneath it. That night, Martha sat in her new home, the soft hum of engines fading into the distance. She looked at the photo, then out the window at the stars above. She whispered a quiet prayer, not for herself, but for every stranger still out there, hungry, tired, or forgotten, because she now knew the truth. Kindness doesn't vanish into the wind. It finds its way back, multiplied, carried on the hearts of those we touch. And somewhere down that open road, 50 riders thundered into the night, their headlights cutting through the dark, proof that even in the hardest souls, love still rides.